Paul Pierce. 1 ring. 1 Finals MVP. A career average of just 19.7 points a game. Yet, there he was on FS1 in July 2025, telling the whole world that he is the greatest pure scorer to ever touch a basketball. He actually claimed to be better than Kobe, better than Kareem, even better than Michael Jordan. But the man with the second biggest ego in NBA history had already shut that down. In fact, he answered Pierce years before Pierce even opened his mouth. From the 1993 NBA Finals all the way to today, Charles Barkley has held on to one hard truth.
That's the only player I ever played against I thought was better.
Charles Barkley, Hall of Fame, class of 2006. And he was talking about Michael Jordan, the one and only man on this entire planet that Barkley ever bowed down to.
Yeah, it was hands down Mike.
Wasn't close.
No, my goodness.
2 voices. The exact same verdict. No debate needed. Keep watching. Because once you hear Barkley admit the truth about his own daughter, you will see just how crazy Paul Pierce sounds. Let's set the stage. Charles Barkley is not a humble guy. He never has been. 11 All-Star games. The 1993 MVP. 16 years of just bullying every single guy who dared to step on the court. He was 250 pounds of pure force. The round mound rebound. He gave you 22 points and almost 12 boards a night for his whole career. They listed him at 6'6", but he was really closer to 6'4". Yet, he still led the league in rebounds in 1987 as one of the shortest power forwards in the NBA. He tossed around 7-footers like it was nothing. 2 Olympic gold medals. And when he finally walked away, he was one of only 4 players in NBA history to hit 20,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, and 4,000 assists. When Barkley talks about other players, he talks down to them. That is just how he is built. So, when Charles Barkley actually admits someone is better than him, you listen, because it almost never happens.
But did you think you were better than Bird?
Yes.
Did you think you were better than Jordan?
Did you catch that? Even Larry Bird, even Magic Johnson, even Michael Jordan. Back in his prime, Charles Barkley truly believed he could beat every single one of them. He walked into the arena believing it. He walked out believing it. But then, 1993 happened. Now let's flip the script. Let's look at Paul Pierce. Pierce is not a quiet guy either. He will always tell you exactly what is on his mind. After all, this is the man Shaq named the truth because he was so ice cold in the clutch. And recently, on FS1, Pierce decided to make his stand. He asked a simple question. Could you pull up from the elbow?
The elbow. I got all that. Knock down the 3. All that. Could you back up?
Turn around?
Turn around.
All of that, post up.
Could you dunk?
All of that. I was shooting. I must have been one of the most equipped.
Pull up, catch and shoot, back down, turn around, post up.
Pierce went through every single offensive move in the book. It felt like he was reading off a checklist that nobody even asked for. And he just kept going.
Sure, you got to put me in that talk when we talk about most equipped scorers now. Come on, Bron.
Put me in that talk. 3 small.
But Pierce wasn't just asking. He was demanding. He demanded to be put right next to Mike. Next to Kobe. Next to Kareem. Right up there with the legends who completely destroyed the league he grew up watching. And this is where things get ugly. Because Pierce was not done yet.
Wasn't done.
Oh, I shot more about shots, but Kevin.
Right out of his own mouth. The so-called greatest pure scorer ever. Admitting he actually wasn't a pure scorer. But the headline was already out there. The damage was done. Pierce had already given himself the crown. And here is why this hits so hard. Pierce has done this before. This isn't just a one-time thing. It is a clear pattern. Remember when he left LeBron James off his top 5 players list? He did it right on NBA Countdown, and Kendrick Perkins had to call him out for it. Pierce really left LeBron off his all-time top 5. Think about that. LeBron James, the most decorated basketball player of our era. And Paul Pierce just sat at that desk and acted like the man didn't even exist. Now this exact same guy wants you to believe he is the best pure scorer in basketball history. The pattern is the problem here. The disrespect is the problem. Pierce just does not see the game the way the rest of the world does. But the pushback was fast, and it came straight from the loudest voice in sports media.
I think so. I think so. Listen, Paul Pierce, as far as I'm concerned, is a future Hall of Fame. He's a champion. I respect the hell out of him. But I just think that
Even Stephen A. Smith had to step in. And this is a guy who makes a living defending former NBA players. He built his whole career on giving legends the benefit of the doubt. But even he had to draw the line. He had to go on TV and say Pierce had completely lost his mind. Because when Stephen A. Smith says you are wrong, you are just wrong. Now, let's look at the names Pierce just tried to step over. Let's pull up the receipts. Michael Jordan, Hall of Fame, class of 2009. 6 rings, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, 10 scoring titles. 10. The highest career scoring average in NBA history at 30.1 points a game. 6 trips to the finals, 6 wins. He was perfect when it mattered most. Kobe Bryant, 5 rings, 2 finals MVPs, 1 MVP, 2 scoring titles, over 33,000 career points. He dropped 81 points in a single night. 7 trips to the finals, 5 wins, 11 first-team All-NBA picks. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 6 rings, 6 MVPs, 2 finals MVPs, over 38,000 career points. The unstoppable Skyhook, 20 years of pure dominance. Now let's look at Paul Pierce, Hall of Fame, class of 2021. 1 ring, 1 finals MVP, 0 regular season MVPs, 0 scoring titles. He never finished higher than 4th in MVP voting. He never made first team All-NBA, not even once. In 19 years, he made third team 3 times and second team once. That is it. He had 2 finals appearances. 1 win, 1 loss. A career average of 19.7 points a game. His absolute best scoring season was 26.8 points a game. Kevin Durant beat that number in 8 different seasons. Michael Jordan averaged 30 or more 8 times. Kobe averaged over 35 points in his best year. That is the gap. It is a massive canyon. Jordan and Kobe have 12 scoring titles combined. Pierce has 0. Jordan and Kareem have 11 MVPs combined. Pierce has 0. The guys Pierce ranked himself above have 17 rings combined. Pierce has 1. And this is the exact resume Pierce looked at before deciding he was the most gifted scorer to ever live. That is not a hot take. That is just denying reality. And here is the ultimate proof. Just listen to the men who actually lined up against Michael Jordan. Not the TV analysts. Not the podcasters. The former NBA players. The actual defenders who had to try and stop him. This is where Pierce's whole argument falls completely apart. Not on a piece of paper, but on the court, in real time.
Best player in the league when you first got in was who?
Mike.
And it wasn't close.
Just listen to the way he phrased that. It wasn't even close. There is 0 debate here. It is not even a top 3 conversation.
No sleep the night before because I was like just anxious and nervous and ready, because I know I was playing against the best player ever.
Exactly. 0 sleep the night before the game. Why? Because the guy standing across from him was not just another matchup. He was a pure force of nature.
Because this motherfucker put his feet on your throat and don't take it off. He gonna try to embarrass your ass.
Exactly. A foot right on your throat. He didn't just beat you. He completely humiliated you. He wanted the scoreboard to read 40-12. He wanted you to remember that exact score for the rest of your life.
Never a doubt at the end of any series that he was ever in who the best player in the world was.
By the end of the series, the result never changed. The answer was always exactly the same. But wait until you hear the stories from practice. Because that is where things get completely insane.
Gets insane.
I was with MJ 4.5 seasons or whatever. Never lost a suicide. Never.
Never lost a suicide.
Never.
It's crazy.
Never.
Close.
4.5 seasons.
4.5 seasons of practice. And he never lost a single sprint. Not even one. Mike won the drills. Mike won the warm-ups. He won on his days off. He won the shooting contests. He even won the card games on the team plane. He competed over things that grown men shouldn't even care about. And he beat his own teammates over and over again because losing of any kind was simply not allowed in his world. Paul Pierce never met a competitive monster like that. Not in Boston. Not on Team USA. Not in any gym on the planet. Now, let's go back to the man with the second biggest ego in basketball history.
I said, Chuck, I'm the best player in the world. I'm going to prove it to you. I said, we're going to play the Bulls in the
The Phoenix Suns finally made it. 62 wins. The best record in the entire league. And Charles Barkley walked away with the MVP. But waiting for them in the finals? Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. Phil Jackson calling the plays. Scottie Pippen right by Mike's side. They were the absolute perfect basketball machine. Then the series tipped off. And even now, all these years later, this is exactly how Charles Barkley tells the story.
Game 2, I said, fuck this shit. I'm going for it. I finished with like 48, 49, somewhere in there, 26, something like that. But Michael fucking had like 55. Ooh. That motherfucker would not let me win that game.
Just listen to that memory. Barkley made a choice. He was going to completely bury Mike. And he went out and played some of the absolute best basketball of his entire life. But it still was not enough. Because every single time Barkley took a swing, Mike just swung back harder. The Suns quickly fell behind 0-2. They fought back hard, winning a crazy triple overtime thriller in Game 3. It was the longest finals game in 17 years. But Mike had an answer. Game 4. He dropped 55 points. The Bulls win to make it 3-1. Phoenix managed to steal Game 5 in Chicago. They dragged the series back home for Game 6. This was it. One chance. Win or go home. June 20th, 1993. The Suns are up by 4 points with less than a minute on the clock. The championship was right there in their hands. And then, John Paxson, of all people, hits the ultimate dagger. A crushing three-pointer with just 3.9 seconds left. A shot that will live forever in NBA history. Bulls win 99-98. The three-peat is complete. Jordan averaged an insane 41 points a game for the whole series. That is still the highest scoring average in finals history. The Suns walked off the court empty-handed. Charles Barkley went home. And here is the part that nobody ever wants to talk about.
And I remember 20 though. Yeah, I remember going home. When I got home, my daughter was upset. And I had told her before, I said, ain't nobody in the world better at basketball than your dad, and we're gonna win this fucking series. I said, Christiana, I ain't never said this before. I think there's somebody better at basketball.
His little girl was crying. The same little girl he had promised to win a championship for. And Charles Barkley, the loudest man in NBA history, sat down next to her. He looked at his daughter and said the exact words that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Somebody's better at basketball than me. That single sentence broke something deep inside of him. Did he ever say that about Larry Bird? No. Magic Johnson? No. Hakeem Olajuwon? Never. He only said it about Mike. Now look at Paul Pierce. Sitting on FS1 in 2025, handing himself the crown as the greatest scorer ever. Demanding a seat at the big table. Listing off every single move in his bag. And then, in the very same breath, admitting that he took bad shots. Take all of that and compare it to the raw truth that just came out of Charles Barkley's mouth.
I thought Michael Jordan was a better player than me. That's the only player I ever played against I thought.
Think about it. In 16 years, he faced Bird. He faced Magic, Hakeem, Stockton, and Malone, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Dominique Wilkins, and Reggie Miller. But out of all those legends, only one man made him admit defeat. Michael Jordan. Paul Pierce came into the league after Mike. He watched Kobe Bryant copy Mike's entire game. He watched LeBron James chase Mike's shadow for 20 straight years. And yet, in 2025, he sits down and just decides that he is the greatest pure scorer ever. That is not a basketball take. That is a guy trying to rewrite history. And the crazy part? Everyone who actually lived it is still right here to tell him he is completely wrong. So, here is the final verdict. The exact same one Charles Barkley keeps repeating to this day.
No disrespect to Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. The best I've ever seen in my life is
Kobe, Kareem, LeBron, Russell, Wilt. 5 of the 10 greatest players to ever live. Barkley named all of them, and he still picked Mike over everyone. Paul Pierce did not make that list. He did not even come close. He was never even in the conversation. Yet, Paul Pierce truly believes he is the greatest pure scorer ever. That is not confidence. That is a guy who watched giants from far away and somehow convinced himself that he was just as big as them. Charles Barkley never even had to say Paul Pierce's name. He just didn't need to. Every word he has said about Michael Jordan over the decades is all the answer we need. Pierce was not just disrespecting Kobe. He was not just disrespecting Kareem. He was disrespecting the only man that Charles Barkley ever surrendered to. And in the basketball world, that surrender is the loudest verdict you will ever hear. If you agree that Pierce just talked himself right out of the conversation, hit that like button right now. If you think Pierce actually made a good point, drop a comment and tell me why I am wrong. And make sure to subscribe to Hoops Central TV, because we are definitely not done with this one.